Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's fun video, we're going to be doing a breakdown and analysis of the two new vehicles added to PUBG, the two-seater ATV and the two-seater Harley Davidson motorcycle. Now, during today's comparison, we're going to be stacking these two vehicles up to their closest counterparts, the existing two-seater motorcycle and the single-seater dirt bike. Now, personally, I'm a big fan of shows like Top Gear and the Grand Tour, so this really gave me those vibes when I was going through the different attributes that each vehicle had. So when we do our comparison, we're going to be comparing things like top speed and acceleration, braking and handling, how is their off-road usage, and what kind of utilities does each of the vehicle have. For instance, can you seat swap in the vehicle? Can you heal or shoot from the vehicle? How much gasoline does it take? And how many shots does it take to kill each vehicle? So we'll be covering all those things and more in today's video. So my goal by the end of it is for you to have a really good idea of which is your favorite vehicle depending on which scenario you're in. Now, as always, guys, if you do like today's video, please don't forget to hit a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Okay, for our first test, we're going to compare each vehicle's acceleration and their top speed to see which is best. Now, as you can see here, the old motorcycle does have a little bit better acceleration than the new motorcycle, but I mean, we're talking by a split hair difference here. And as they continue on throughout the gears, reaching their top speed, each of them maxes out at 151 kilometers per hour. The interesting comparison here is against the dirt bike and the ATV, because we all know the dirt bike to be incredibly fast and maneuverable, but here the ATV absolutely destroys it in the 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. But it's shortly thereafter where the ATV reaches its max speed of 111 kilometers per hour, and the dirt bike is able to keep on pushing past 131 kilometers per hour. So judging just purely based off acceleration and speed, the ATV is the clear winner in acceleration, with the dirt bike being number 2, the old motorcycle being number 3, and the new Harley being last for acceleration. For top speeds, though, the roles are reversed. Both of the bigger motorcycles can go up to 151 kilometers per hour, where the dirt bike maxes 131, and the ATV is left in the dust at 111 kilometers per hour. Now, the vehicle's speed is only part of the equation. Another big important part is how fast that vehicle can stop. Now, for the first test, I kept each vehicle as close as I could to 100 kilometers per hour, and I slammed the brakes to see how fast they could each stop. The results of this test are pretty clear. Both of the big motorcycles end up stopping the same distance, with the dirt bike being slightly behind them, and the ATV here again being the standout vehicle where it stops incredibly fast from 100 to 0. Now, seeing all these stats individually is one thing, but let's combine them all together to give you a big picture view of how each of these vehicles actually perform compared to each other. In order to do this, we're going to do an old-fashioned test of 0 to 100 and back down to 0, and why I think this is so important is because a big part of PUBG is being able to move safely from cover to cover. And what better way to do that if you can get on your vehicle, move quickly, and stop quickly as well. And there you have it. The ATV is the clear choice when you're looking to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. But I will say this, if you happen to be making a big map rotation where you have to travel a few kilometers across the map, the ATV may not be the most ideal choice simply because of its limited top speed. Especially if you're in a solo scenario where you can afford to not have to have a back seat, the dirt bike or one of the bigger motorcycles might be the better alternative there. All right, now speaking of rotations, an important part about PUBG is being able to make safe rotations no matter which way the circle goes. Because as we all know, the circle can shift anywhere, leaving you having to think on your feet about how you want to get to your next safe zone. So having a vehicle that has the versatility to handle each of those off-road and on-road scenarios is really important. So I ran each of the vehicles through their own little rallycross course to compare them and see really how they felt on-road and off-road. The two big motorcycles, is quite clear that they felt a little bit more clunky off-road. They were a little bit slower to turn and to stop, and just the general downshifting and upshifting sequence was a bit slower, making them a little bit more sluggish if you had to make tight turns and tight maneuvers on or off-road.
Listen.
All right, now neither of these two big bikes are going to be bad choices if you have to take them off-road, but it's clearly not their ideal suited environment. They're best for long stretches of highway miles when you have to make those big rotations. Now, as you'd expect, the dirt bike and the ATV, when compared to the big cruiser bikes, perform much better off-road. They're much more maneuverable, easier to turn, and easier to stop. But I can definitely tell the difference between the dirt bike and the ATV. The dirt bike was much more consistent off-road, meaning you were able to keep up your momentum much easier on the dirt bike without having to slow down incredibly to make a tight turn like you do in the ATV. However, where the ATV combats that is utilizing that boost feature, it's able to get back up to speed incredibly quick. Both vehicles also perform really well when going over bumps and jumps, and the ATV actually has a neat feature where you can control the front and back flip, but also the side rolls as well. So if you hit a jump at an off angle and you feel like the vehicle's rolling over to one side, you can rotate it in midair so that it lands safely on all four tires. Overall, when comparing both of these vehicles, I think I still prefer the dirt bike if I'm in a solo experience. I just feel like it's a bit more maneuverable than the ATV, but the ATV has a huge plus having a back seat, which adds space for teammates and other features that we'll cover in a minute. Let's also not forget how incredibly fun it is to do flips and tricks on both the dirt bike and the ATV. So when making a decision about which vehicle you have to pick, that's gotta mean something too, right? All right, so far we've covered speed, acceleration, braking, handling, and off-road cases for all four vehicles. Now let's take a look at their weapon usage and other utilities like gas usage, seat swap, and healing capabilities. By now, it should be no secret, every vehicle that you drive, you can shoot while driving as long as you have a pistol equipped and your aim key programmed in your keybinds. All four of these vehicles are no different, so each of the motorcycles you can shoot from the driver's seat and the ATV. But there is a couple of stark differences here. The dirt bike does seem to be the best vehicle to shoot from while driving because it's the most maneuverable, making you a harder to hit target while still having a very steady aim when you're trying to shoot your target. So if you have to do circles around your target or double back to get a second run, the dirt bike is going to be the best for that. However, the ATV has a trick up its sleeve when it comes from shooting from the vehicle. Now, on a normal two-seater motorcycle like the old motorcycle or the new Harley, you can technically seat swap to the back seat and pull out an SMG to shoot from, but you'll see that your vehicle will very quickly fall over, and you can even die from that. The only way to get around this is to hit a big jump, get airtime, seat swap mid-air, and then try to shoot your target. So it's a very coordinated effort. The ATV acts more like a buggy does, where you can seat swap to the back seat. The vehicle will automatically kill the engine and start coasting down, but allowing you to have a very steady drive-by experience with an SMG, and your vehicle keeps its momentum going too. The only downside is that for some reason they programmed the buggy that whenever you seat swap, the engine applies what's called engine braking, taking you from potentially your max speed of 110 down to about 50 kilometers an hour very quickly, and then it'll start to coast down from 50 to 0 much more slowly. So you do have to be careful here because you will be a much easier to hit target when you're moving that slow. Now, another very useful tactic in PUBG is being able to heal while moving in a vehicle, and you can do this in a car, a truck, or a buggy very easily, where you swap to the second seat, the vehicle keeps on rolling and keeps its momentum, and you're able to bandage or take a boost to increase your health. This is where the ATV really does shine, because the dirt bike doesn't have any of these possibilities, and the two bigger motorcycles, you're only able to do a boost or a bandage if you hit a big enough jump and get enough airtime where you can complete one healing sequence before you land on the ground. That means you have to find a jump that gives you 5 or 6 seconds of airtime, which just really isn't realistic. The ATV, on the other hand, allows you to still coast down the engine speed while you keep some momentum, and you can boost or bandage on the back seat. Again, keeping in mind that you are going to be moving at about 50 or 60 kilometers per hour, but that's much better than sitting still though. Alright, so it's time to look at the last two comparisons for these vehicles today. The first one may seem a little anecdotal, but I thought it was really interesting how much more fuel efficient the ATV is when compared to the other vehicles. Now, keeping in mind the other vehicles do have a much higher top speed, so there is a trade-off there, but get this. All three motorcycles driving flat out at maximum speed on the highway went from a full tank of gas to a half tank of gas in 3 minutes. The ATV, on the other hand, again driving flat out, had a full tank of gas to a half tank in 6 minutes. It has literally double the fuel efficiency of the motorcycles, which is incredibly important, especially considering sometimes you pick up a vehicle that doesn't even have a full tank of gas. It may only have a half tank of gas. So having the ability to drive around for an extra 3 minutes without having to swap vehicles or find another gas can be really, really important. Another important aspect of these vehicles is their overall health. How many health points do they have and how long does it take for them to get destroyed? Now, first thing I did here was go to PUBG Gamepedia. It's one of the data mine websites, and they estimate that the old motorcycle has 1,000 HP. So we use that as our starting baseline. I took an M4 and shot each of the vehicles in the same spot on their fuel tanks to make sure it was applying the same amount of damage. And I found out that all 3 motorcycles take 25 shots to be destroyed from full health, and the ATV took 38 shots to be destroyed from full health. That means that the ATV has about 1,520 HP, which ironically is the same as what a buggy has. So the ATV has an additional 50% HP over the motorcycles, making it harder to destroy. And a little side note, it has 4 tires, which means it can afford to have 1 or 2 pop, and it can still be a useful vehicle to get you out of a tough situation, to where I'm sure we've all been there on a motorcycle with a front or a rear tire popped. They're darn near useless. Well, there you have it, guys. A complete review of the 2 new vehicles and how they stack up to their old counterparts. Let me know in the comments below which is your favorite vehicle and if your decision has been changed based on what you've seen today. As always, leave the video a thumbs up, share it with a buddy, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. We've got a ton of new PUBG content coming every week for you guys. My PCS4 Pick'em Challenge picks will be coming soon as well. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. Peace.
Bruh.